All right, guys, what's going on? Carolina Jackpot back again with part number 2 of my picks and predictions. Boy, I get to filibustering about some of these games and get a little long-winded and thing cuts off on me. One of these days, when I become educated enough about the software, I'm going to learn how to link two videos together so that even if one cuts off, we can, or you'll never know it. Where did I leave off? Wake Forest and Appalachian State. Much the same as last year when they hosted Miami. I think that Appalachian State is a good team at the level they play at, but I don't think that they have what it takes to knock off FCS schools. They almost did last year against Tennessee, played out of their minds. Tennessee didn't play very good in that opener, and they took them to overtime. They lost like 42-10 last year to Miami at home. And Wake Forest is just going to be too much for them. Now, some of the past Wake Forest teams, this might have been a very even game, but Wake Forest has looked good this year. They're undefeated, and they've kind of rolled over all their competition. They haven't even really been challenged. They've got wins over PC, Presbyterian, Boston College, and Utah State. Like last week, they won like 46-10 against Utah State. And could have been much worse than that. Look for them to cover the spread against Appalachian State and win by several scores. This one, this will be my closest thing that I could come to. Sure thing, what I'm going to call my lock, stock, and two smoking barrels pick. Last week, we were, that was Old Dominion in North Carolina. I got that one correct. This is UCF, the Knights on the road at Maryland. Maryland is only a 3.5-point favorite. For the life of me, I can't understand why. UCF's another one of the teams that's had a long layoff from Hurricane Irma, and I don't know how that's going to affect some of these teams. I don't know if they're going to come out rusty or if they're going to come out full of energy and ready to go. Maryland had that big win week 1 against Texas, who look like they're not that bad of a football team. They took USC. That was a very close game this past Saturday, and Maryland totally dominated them in Texas. So I don't see UCF challenging them within 3.5 points. I think Maryland will win this game by double digits. Lock, stocks, two smoking barrels. Mark out when now it's going to happen. The Terps will roll over the Golden Knights of UCF. I had to move one of their games around. I saw they're trying to schedule Austin Peay or Jackson State or somebody like that just so they'll be able to play 11 games this year. That Hurricane stuff's no joke. All right, getting into some of the more marquee matchups here. Toledo at Miami, that's not a marquee matchup. 13.5-point favorites, the Miami Hurricanes. I look for them to cover the spread there. Toledo's got some big wins, but they haven't beaten anybody of substance. Their last game against Tulsa was a 3-point victory shootout. Their quarterback, Logan Woodside's really good, but their defense obviously gives up a ton of points and gets gashed. And Miami, I think they'll be rested and ready to play this game. They're expected to have a good year, and I think they'll cover the spread against the Rockets in Miami on Saturday afternoon. Boston College is on the road at Clemson. They're 34.5-point underdogs. Everybody's taking Clemson in this one because they have a ton of points. This is the way I look at this one. Looking back at their past history of coming to Death Valley, the games have been like 34-17, 23-13 one year. They've covered the spread, and I look for them to do it this week. Is Clemson going to win this game? Yeah. Are they going to win it by a lot of points? Yeah. 34.5 points is a lot of points to cover a spread by in a conference game. And I just don't think that they're going to flex their muscle that way. I think that if they put their foot on the gas, that they could cover that 34.5-point spread, because I don't think Boston College is very good. In fact, last year in Chestnut Hill, Clemson won 56-10. pretty much scoring at will in I think that was a Friday night game. But I just don't look for them to come out this week. I don't think they're going to come out flat. I just think they may come out a little bit just disinterested. And I think they'll win by, I see this being like a 40-10 game, 41-10 game. I think they'll almost cover the spread, but not quite. I don't think Boston College is going to, it's not going to be like a 34-17 or 23-13 game like some of those have been, just because Clemson's much better than they were when that happened, and Boston College is, I don't know, it seemed like they've taken a step back. A few interesting ones here. Florida is at Kentucky. They are 2.5-point favorites. I'm going to call this one break the streak. Kentucky covers the spread and breaks a 30-game or 31-game, whatever it is, losing streak to Florida. It's got to happen sometime, and I can't think of a better time to do it than right now. Florida's coming off an emotional victory against Tennessee. Probably a little bit gassed, probably a little bit shot. Kentucky had a big win over South Carolina on the road. Well, they played pretty well. It's a South Carolina team that just looked absolutely lost. Like they hadn't practiced all week long. Terrible. But we're not going to get into that. I've already hashed that one out. Kentucky looked like they found kind of a rhythm on offense. Found some stuff that works for them. I think Wildcat formation can give Florida some fits. Florida, I think, is missing too many good players. And I think the Wildcats will upset them in Lexington, probably one of the biggest home games they've had up there in years, by a touchdown or so. Kentucky's going to take the win in this one, cover the spread, and break the streak against the Gators. Auburn is on the road at Missouri. They're 19.5-point favorites. Missouri, I think they got something to prove here, that this season's just not going to be a total loss. Just totally down the drain. They looked really bad against Purdue last week, a game that we thought was going to be close. I actually picked Mizzou to cover the spread. I was dead wrong on that one. They were absolutely dominated by the Big Ten Boilermakers. I think they're going to try to right the ship this week. I don't necessarily know that they're going to win the game. I don't see that happening. But I don't see Auburn beating them by 19.5 points. As a matter of fact, I don't know if Auburn can score 19.5 points, to be honest with you. Their offense looks absolutely abysmal. Last week, 24-10 win against Mercer, a lower-level FCS team. Their offense is not very good. They can't, and this guy is supposed to be an offensive guru. That's their head coach. It's not happening there. I don't know what's going on in the Plains. That's another coach on the hot seat. Kind of a disappointing team. And Missouri's going to cover the spread in this game. Not necessarily going to win the game. That's what Penn State at Iowa. They're 12.5-point underdogs. The Hawkeyes are. And this one right here, I am going to call my upset special right here. Penn State is going to lose to the Iowa Hawkeyes in Iowa City on Saturday afternoon. These upsets happen with these playoff contending teams every year. Somebody gets one of them, and they're primed for an upset. Iowa's a tough place to play. Quarterback put up some really good numbers this year. I think he's got like 10 touchdowns versus 1 interception. Definitely give Penn State a challenge. That's the one I'm going to call my upset special. If they do not upset them, it's going to come down to one score. TCU on the road at Oklahoma State, 11-point favorites. The Cowboys are going to pick them to cover the spread with very good reason why. They've dominated everybody they've played this year. Fast, strong, one of the best teams I've seen all year long. Really complete team. TCU has a good team. You got a lot of team speed. They dominated Arkansas in week 2, but Oklahoma State's just a different breed. And most of these big wins they've had where they've dominated these teams, I've seen them smack around and been on the road the past 2 weeks. Now they're back in their home stadium. Boone Pickens, or whatever it's called, in Stillwater. That's another tough place to play. I look for them to cover the spread against TCU. Probably win by about 21 points. Duke is on the road at UNC, a rivalry game, going after Victory Bell. Blue Devils, yeah, cover the spread against UNC. Duke's look pretty good. They had a Northwestern game, it's a pretty impressive win. They blew them out. They beat Baylor last week by 14 points at home. And they're kind of on a little mini roll this year. North Carolina's 1-2. They did manage a win last week at Old Dominion, which is really not that impressive. Offense looked erratic at times. Lost to home to Cal. They've lost also on the road. No, they lost at home to Louisville, who that just don't look like the very good football team. Not like we thought they were. So that loss looks a little bit worse. Blue Devils cover spread. Oklahoma at Baylor, 27.5 point favorites, and I look for Oklahoma to cover the spread there. Baylor's just circling the drain this year. That guy Matt Rule's a good coach. I think that he'll rebuild that program, but it's going to take a while. Right now, they're just broken. Baker Mayfield is a Heisman Trophy candidate and looks the part. Lincoln Riley, I didn't thought that guy would kind of struggle this year a little bit, even with all those that talent he's got around him. I just didn't see him winning some of these big games, being such a young head coach, his first coaching job. But I was wrong about him. They have really looked good this year. That'll coming down to them in Oklahoma State for the Big 12. They're on a collision course for the Bedlam game to decide a playoff spot. And I don't know. I got to give that one right now to the Cowboys. Still the advantage, but we'll see what happens. Final two games of the evening here. Mississippi State is at Georgia. A lot of people have their eye on this one. Georgia is a 5-point favorite at home. Mississippi State had a big win last week or actually they were at home against LSU. I think they kind of played out of their minds a little bit and rode some momentum. 37-7 victory over the LSU Tigers, and nobody saw that one coming. They absolutely dominated them. They're on the road this week. I think their performance may come out a little bit flat. Georgia, I think, I don't think 5 points is quite enough. I think they're going to win by about a touchdown, maybe a little bit more. I think Georgia may be for real this year. They finally got a defense to go with that running game, and the kid that stepped in there and took over for Jacob Eason, the Jake Fromm, has assumed the reins, leadership of that team, and they're 3-0. They're going to go 4-0 on Saturday night. Go 1-0 in the SEC. The homestanding Bulldogs take the victory here. Make no mistake about it, it's an evenly matched game. It could go either way. That Nick Fitzgerald been running all over the place, but I think Georgia's got enough speed on defense to contain him. They're going to be able to do it at least when it needs to be done. Now, if it's a game we're in Starkville, it'd be a different story. But Between the Hedges is one of the toughest places to play in the SEC. If you go back, look, these teams don't play that often. I think 2011 was the last time they played. Georgia won. Mississippi State actually won in 2010. Before that, it was 1974 was the last time Mississippi State played Georgia. So they have a history of losing to the Bulldogs from Athens. And I think they're going to take this game on Saturday night just by virtue of home field advantage. Final one, Notre Dame at Michigan State. Michigan State's 4-point underdog at home. I'm going to look for Notre Dame to cover the spread. Michigan State's 2-0. I just haven't seen enough from them to be very impressed. They weren't very good last year, and their 2 victories this year have been over lower-level teams. So we're going to see how we did, guys. Those are the picks and predictions. That's it for week number 4. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, what you saw here, click that old like button and the subscribe button. And ding-a-ding-a-ding, ring my bell so you'll get notifications on me. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and I appreciate your support. Peace, and I'm out. Go Gamecocks.